and AM 1160. He is Bob Pollock from the Penn State Extension. Joining us each Friday morning, you have a chance to ask Bob a question if you'd like. And the phone numbers, 479-1160, 349-WCCS. That's 349-9227 on this soggy Friday morning. Conversation brought to you by Marcus & Mack, a law firm representing injured people. You didn't have to paddle your way here, did you?
Almost.
Yeah. My goodness, it's been raining hard.
It has been.
Yeah, we've been up and down with the weather this year, and ground is still so soggy. Yesterday, did the mowing. Everybody was rushing to get the mowing done, and so I got off into the side yard there, in the Christmas trees, and man, I almost didn't get out of there.
Almost beached it.
Yeah, I mean, it was something else. I had to actually plow a new path down through the woods in order to get out. Something else.
Much easier to go downhill than uphill, isn't it?
Yeah. But talking about lawns and everything, they are coming along, greening up very nicely. Here in town, of course, you look across the street there at the church, and the tulips are up. My tulips they're just now getting through the ground. They don't even have the stem for the flowers. They're 7 feet tall with beautiful blooms on them right now. But it's interesting, isn't it, how in Indiana County, the northern half of the county, the southern half of the county, they're two entirely different regions.
They really are. Yeah, it is amazing. Get a little more elevation, a little bit farther north, and it's amazing how much difference in variation we can get. And then when you go around the hill, get on the north side of the slope, it's even more pronounced.
Yeah. It's a slippery side.
There's probably still some snow on some north slopes.
Well, I bet you if you go up to Evansburg, you'll probably still find the pile. And I think they actually take bets and run a pool on when the snow pile is going to melt in some of the parking lots up there. But, okay, so it's been a very, very late start to the season. That doesn't necessarily portend that it's going to be a late finish, does it?
No.
No, it has nothing to do with it.
No, because things can change on a dime. And, we're going to warm up here. Mm-hmm. It looks like, I think we need to watch, now Saturday night it's supposed to be 39. Sunday night it's supposed to be 39. But Sunday's a clearer day.
So you're getting down there in Frostland?
So, yeah, we talk about those variations. Mm-hmm. 39 here in town is not going to be 39 when you get a couple miles outside of town.
Yeah.
So we just need to watch that. Now they're calling for a light breeze. As long as that stays in place, that will help because it keeps the air mixed.
Yeah.
So we probably won't get a frost. But if that changes, and it could, and things become calm, even for a few hours, we could get. So if you have sensitive plants that you've tried to get out or just got out this week, then those are the ones to be mindful of and watch and maybe protect.
Well, I wanted to talk about that, particularly in terms of planting your vegetable garden, because it's going to be probably later than ever for a lot of people to get their gardens in, just waiting for them to dry out. Now, next week's weather is supposed to be sunny all week, which will really help a lot.
Yes.
But these gardens are really, really wet, and some people might have normally put stuff out already that they're going to delay, and so that's going to delay later in the month when they would put out the rest of their garden. It might be June before people get their gardens in.
And for some things, that's fine, especially for the warm season crops. Mm-hmm. That's just about right on schedule, unless you have a way to protect them.
Yeah.
Or if you're, using raised beds and the soil warms up quicker. We still have the air temperatures to deal with, but, that soil temperature is very important to get, especially if you're planting seeds, but sensitive crops, that if you sowed the seed, you have the transplants. Still, those transplants have been growing in a cold frame or some protected structure or indoors, and so they're not acclimated to those outdoor conditions. So they've been in warmer soil because they've been in a warmer environment.
Sure.
And so we can shock them by just setting them out. So we really need a lot of those, almost all plants need hardened off a little bit. And by hardening off, we're trying to just get them acclimated to the conditions that they'll be exposed to. And just the wind alone, let alone, a lot of times they've had enough sunlight where they've been, but that air movement causes respiration, so those plants lose moisture, and then they have to replace that, and so we can stress them right off the bat if they're not acclimated to those conditions. So we try to set them out. If they've been in these nice, perfect growing conditions, we like to set them out at least for the daytime, get them acclimated to the maybe brighter sunlight levels as well as air movement. And then sometimes we'll withhold a little bit of water from them. That also stresses them a little bit, but it also prepares them for being outdoors in some of those variations and conditions which those plants are going to encounter as the days and weeks go on.
There are people right now who are trying to decide how wet is too wet for me to get out into the garden, either in terms of preparing the soil, clearing out whatever weeds they are that they have there, getting it tilled up eventually, turning it over if you're going to be turning it over. How wet is too wet is a really important question, isn't it?
Absolutely. We set ourselves up for poorer growing conditions when we overwork the soil, as well as work the soil when it's too wet. Because we can get compaction, we can get crusting, we just can get poor conditions for growth when we try to jump in and do things too soon. We've had windows already where we could get the soil worked up, that I'm sure people have been able to do some planting because we've had good enough conditions to do that, but they've been small windows. You've had to been ready to go and get the ground worked up. And even if you can get your soil, especially in the vegetable garden, to the point where you can turn it over with a spade, or even you've got enough organic matter in there that you can almost go to a no-till system where you're only working up, let's say you're sowing a row of peas, where you're only working up the strip where you're going to plant those seeds. So you get a loose enough soil to plant the seeds, get them covered well, and allow them to grow and not disturb the other soil. That way we're not working the whole thing. And also in doing that, we can help limit the amount of weed seeds that might be germinating in that untouched soil. Yes, we can still, where we've stirred things up, yes, there's weed seeds in there. We can't see them, but they're there, and just tilling the soil will bring some of those to the surface enough that they'll be growing and trying to grow along with the plants that we're planting. So limiting the amount of tillage we do can be beneficial for soil structure, can be beneficial for limiting weed growth, can keep the soil from moving around too, and it can also give you a little more opportunity to plant when others maybe can't plant, if they have to turn everything over.
Cool season plants that are being put out right now. Onion sets,
onions,
broccoli,
cauliflower, cabbage.
Those things that get
peas.
put out typically right now. If we have to delay putting them out because of the wetness and we just can't get into the garden yet, are they going to grow okay if they're put out when the temperatures are in the 70s as opposed to we might have put them out before when they were in the 50s and 60s?
It would be best to get them out when they need to be out there. Broccoli and cauliflower, not so much cabbage. Cabbage is a little more, it's more flexible. Broccoli and cauliflower can sometimes bolt. Lettuces can bolt. They'll send up a seed, and by bolting, that's sending up a seed stalk. Because of the growing conditions aren't exactly right, or we get into too warm a weather with these cool season crops too fast, then that signals the plant that, my life cycle is about to end, so I need to flower and go to seed so that I can get the next generation going.
Last will and testament
So
of the broccoli plant.
So that can happen with those plants if we get them too late and try to grow them under too warmer conditions.
Let's see if we can take a caller. Good morning.
Hi, Dr. Bob.
Good morning.
You mentioned tilling the garden. Is it better to hand spade it, or, as opposed to rototilling it? What's the research on that?
If you can hand spade it, you're going to do a little less damage to the soil structure than if you rototill it. I think when we rototill, we tend to overdo it. We want to make this perfectly fine seed bed.
I want to get rid of all the lumps.
All the lumps.
Yes.
We don't necessarily need to get rid of all the lumps. We just need enough, and with transplants, we don't need to work it as much as we do if you're planting seeds.
Okay.
The bigger the seed, the less soil it takes to get those covered. The smaller the seed, we can, a little bit finer soil to go over there is better because we want good seed to soil contact. But limiting the amount of tillage is beneficial to soil structure, which then is beneficial to plant growth, moisture retention, moisture holding, root growth. All of those things benefit by limiting the amount of working we do with the soil.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks a bunch.
You're welcome.
Thank you. But I want pretty looking dirt.
Yeah, I know. And that's where, if we can do, maybe we just till a strip. If you're going to plant in rows, maybe just till the strip where you're going to plant and leave walkways or the in-between rows alone.
I always put down planks. And I walk out on planks.
Yeah. And some people put down fabric between the rows, or sometimes they'll fabric the whole entire thing.
Yeah.
And just have planting holes.
Yeah. Well, I put down the planks just to plant, and then I pick up the planks because I don't have that many planks, Bob.
That's a lot of wood.
And then I put down plastic.
Wood's
between
valuable.
the rows.
Especially now.
It's not like wallpaper in the garden. Putting down a floor. I didn't head off to Liquidators and get myself a new floor to put down there. But okay. All right. So anything else folks need to know right now about things going on or?
Well, and when we talk about plants and we get delayed with planting, so we've kind of tried to plant on a schedule when we thought we were going to be able to, sow the seeds, grow the transplants, and then plant them out.
You have 30 seconds.
So those can get messed up in a hurry. In a year like this, definitely, your scheduling could be off now.
Yeah.
So here you've got these plants. They're still growing, and you're trying to hold them back. So, and if they get too big and they get root bound in the containers they're in, you might need to transplant them again before you put them out, either to keep them going and keep them from getting stunted. A lot of times if we hold them too long in the containers they're in and don't transplant them or get them out, then we're in trouble. So try not to do that.
Thank you, Bob.
You're welcome.